A few years ago, I was traveling from Washington, D.C. to Toronto, and the flight was delayed. Now, I'm always amazed when a flight is delayed or some sort of situation like this where the people will say, "Thank you for your patience." And I think to myself, I didn't have any patience. But, during this process of being delayed, there was four of us traveling, and two of us were bumped up to business class, I being one of them. Now, I've recognized hospitality at its finest. You got a nice hot towel to clean up a little bit, and was treated quite well. What is hospitality? And we can define it many different ways: feeling welcome, feeling comfortable, making people feel at ease. Now, important is that we are hospitable as Christian people. Now, in the first reading, the prophet Elisha is recognized by this wealthy woman as being a prophet. And so she wants to provide him hospitality. Now, she goes beyond the call of duty. She even goes beyond what Elisha asks of her, but she wants to give back to this prophet. Now, the prophet has nothing really to give to her except to make this announcement of a child. Now, this child, or this son, can remind us of Jesus Christ, because this child will later die, but then through the prophet will be raised to new life. And of course, we can think of Jesus Christ, the beloved Son, who embraced death on a cross, and was raised to new life. And this is what we share in, as the second reading points out, when we share in baptism. And it reminds us that our true home is in heaven. Where we will receive true hospitality is in heaven. But it's not to say on earth, that we are not being provided with hospitality by our generous God. I mean, yesterday I drove through the Rocky Mountains and went for a little hike, and God is so good. God is so good to us, and what a blessing it is to be able to share in that and participate in that. But nonetheless, through the death and resurrection of Christ, our true home is in heaven. And what a blessing of hospitality that is by our generous God. Now, in the gospel reading, the disciples are to place following Jesus ahead of even the gift of family. I mean, family is probably the one thing that most people identify with as the most valuable thing. Yet to be a follower of Christ is more valuable than that. And to identify ourselves with Christ, we are to take up our crosses. And really what this means is to love Christ. We identify with Christ as we take up our crosses. And the little ways that we have to let go of ourselves, we come to our true self as God raises us to new life. And, we are also to provide hospitality, but as missionaries, we can expect there will be hospitality. I remember a number of years ago when I went to an orphanage, and these children and the people that lived at the orphanage and worked at the orphanage were quite poor, and yet they provided us with very gracious hospitality because we had come to help in their mission to serve the children. So once again, as we gather around the table, Lord, we gather as guests who are coming before our God, who is our host, who offers us this generous gift of the beloved Son to raise us to new life so that we can go out and raise others to new life. And we can treat them as they would be treated in business class or in first class.